Aaron Wiggins has gone over his points, rebounds, and assist total in all 3 games in the series, and I like him to do it again. That's why he is today's free play. Aaron Wiggins over his points, rebounds, and assists. So let's see what's going on here with Aaron Wiggins. First off, you got to love this. Hit it 8 games in a row. I'm more worried about this 11, 13, and 10 that he's had against the Pelicans. So let's take a quick look here at his game log and see why we really like some of these numbers that he's been putting up. All right, first off, minutes. I love these minutes, 16, 12, and 16. He only played 12 minutes here. He had 2 personal fouls, and this was an absolute destruction here. I think it's safe to say we can count on 14 to 15 minutes, maybe even 16 minutes here in this game. The points could not be more consistent. He has 6 of them in each game. He's not shooting a ton, but they're very high percentage shots. Obviously, he's shooting 77% from the field. Doesn't take a lot of three-pointers, 1 of 1. And then his rebounds and assists. He had 4 last game, 7 the previous game, and 5 the previous game. I just like that the Pelicans are not shooting the ball well. There is a ton of rebounding opportunities, and that's helping him out. The assists are pretty consistent here, 1, 2, and 2. So you add all this up, he's averaging 6 points, 3.7 rebounds, 1.7 assists. So we're looking at an average of over 11. If he gets just his averages in this series, he flies over this total at 8.5. I've played this on BetMGM. Some of these sports books don't have the bench players out, and some of them haven't had the lines out until kind of right before the game. So just search around for a little bit. Like I said, I played this on BetMGM. So if you don't see it on your very first book, just search around and try and find another book. They should find it. It's out there. So Aaron Wiggins, that's what I like in this one. Coming up a little bit later here in a few minutes, all access clients, we're going to go over our miserable Saturday. It's pretty easy to come on and talk about amazing, great winning days. But we'll talk about Saturday, what went wrong, and we'll talk about why it should not be as bad as some of the comments I got had. So we got a change in UFC strategy. I'll talk about that. We're going to talk about flat betting. Neil Siri, if you're out there, please leave me a comment and tell me how you can reach out. I'd love to email you and ask you about the spreadsheet that you've come up with. So please leave me a comment. Tell me how I can get in touch with you. I'd love to talk. All right. We're also going to go over. I'm just gonna say this. This is the most important slide that I have right now. There is a reason why I use this slide, and it's not because of the winning days. It's because of the losing days. It's so when we have a day like Saturday, you don't lose your a huge chunk of your bankroll. Saturday should not have been that bad. It should not. We lost 2 big plays. We hit 2 smaller plays. It was not a disaster, but based on some of the comments I got, you would have thought we lost 2 50% plays. So we'll talk about that a little bit later for all access clients. All right, let's go back to some props and what are we liking here. I got to be honest, I cannot find hardly anything that I like in this Boston-Miami series. I don't get it. I don't have good reads on these teams. I see nothing that jumps out, so we move on. Lakers and Denver. Jamal Murray has popped up on the injury report. Do the books care? No. His points, rebounds, and assists is 36.5, even though he's gone under. His rebounds and assists is up 1. They've moved it up to 12.5. They talked about a calf strain, which you obviously don't want to screw around with, but he played the whole game last game. And we saw this with Tyrese Halliburton, back spasm before the game. He put a back brace on. He went out and played 32 minutes, 5 of 12 from the field. He didn't need to play the last part of the game because they were up. So it didn't look like a last-second injury, affected him. Got to be honest, with everything that's happened with the Mr. Porter gambling news, I got to imagine these teams they're not going to screw around at all with any slight little injury. I mean, the Pacers listed Halliburton as questionable. Guy was 5 of 12 from three-pointers. So if Murray's going to play, I got to assume you're going to get full effort from him. Speaking of full effort, I just don't know what to do with this Lakers series. Props-wise, I really have not found a whole lot. I was looking at, here's one, Michael Porter Jr.'s rebounds and assists, 10, 13, and 12. I mean, the thing is, it's certainly not because of his assists. This guy just does not pass the ball. He does not get very many assists. It's really funny. But his rebounds, he's been flying over this total. So maybe there's something that you can do with Porter. He's been really good. His 29.5 is a pretty big number. Now, he's gone over against the Lakers. But if the Lakers on the road are not shooting the ball well, you got to believe he's probably going to grab his fair share of rebounds. But honestly, the NBA, I don't have a whole lot for tonight. NHL, there's really not a need to overthink it. I know that it is minus 175, but Sam Reinhart over 2.5 shots on goal, rinse and repeat. He's gone over in 9 straight, and he's had 6, 3, and 4 against Tampa in this series. So that's kind of where you're going on that one. You know me, I like to play players to not have a point, and there's just really not a whole lot to fade in this series. Same with Dallas and Vegas. Mason Marchment was going to be my guy, but, we can't play that anymore. Dallas and Vegas, I will say Jack Eichel, man, the guy just gets a point. He just always gets a point. Against Dallas, 2-2-1. Even when they're only scoring like 2 goals, he's always around for a point. He just crushes against Dallas. He's had a point in 5 straight games. And at home, the last 10 home games, a point in every single game. Every single game. So I guess you got to look at Jack Eichel at minus 180 as a play tonight. But only two games tonight there. So, all right, let's take a look at MLB. We do have an MLB pack that is up. It's got a money line play and a prop. We now have enough data where I can start firing away on props. I'm going to be doing the same thing with Major League Baseball props that I did with NHL. We're looking at players on bad teams to go under some of their stats. So let's take a look here at I want to take a look at the hits, runs, and RBIs. So this is not a free play. This is just I'm just kind of spitballing and showing you what I'm looking at to take unders. So let's take a guy like Christian Bethancourt. Under 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. I don't know about you guys, but that is pretty enticing to take the under. He's gone over 1 time, and it was against the Nationals. Now, not playing it because he is facing some terrible pitchers. So I'm not going to play him, but this is kind of what we're looking for here on somebody like Bethancourt. You're looking for a guy who is not on a good team, because we want to look at low scoring teams because we don't want a guy to get on base and then get knocked in. So we're looking at guys who just their team isn't that good. We're also looking at guys hopefully that are down in the batting order. I'm monitoring a few guys, and a lot of them are in the bottom of the batting order. You want less at bats. But Bethancourt, the reason I'm not playing him is he faces Irvin for Washington today, and at minus 160, I just can't get there because Irvin is not very good. So, but that's kind of what we're looking for. And as you can see, we have plenty of options to look at, guys to fade. There are plenty of players that are not going over this. We just have to be really careful that don't play these guys on really, really good teams who hit a bunch in. I start with looking at teams that don't score a lot of runs. And then I start looking at, all right, who's in the bottom of the batting order? Okay, who's having a miserable year? Okay, we want less at bats for a guy on a bad team who's surrounded by batters that are probably not going to knock him in for an RBI, even if he does miraculously get on base. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm monitoring. I've got a few guys I'll monitor this week, so I will start updating you guys for that. But I haven't had a baseball play in a few days, so if you want to grab that, at wagertalk.com, it is an official baseball pack with 2 plays. We've got some free plays that are up in the NBA and MLB as well. So I'm looking forward to a pretty good Monday after taking yesterday off. So let me go back here. So this is for all access clients. But if you're not an all access client, please stick around, hang out. We'll talk over some strategies. Okay, this is what I always know if someone is an all access client or not when they reach out to me about a play that wins or loses. If you reach out to me when we have a really bad day, and by the way, Saturday was not a really bad day. I think we lost 8 units. That's not the worst day you could possibly have. We've had way worse days. What we're trying to avoid is like losing like 40 units in a month, or a 50 unit, big time loss. We're still up in the month of April, barely. So hopefully we get some of these plays to hit tonight, tomorrow, and then we still walk off with a profitable April. But for me personally, I just don't bet 5% of my bankroll. When I have a 5% play, I'm betting to win 3 units. When I have a 4% play, I'm betting to win 2 units. When I have a 3% play, I'm betting, 1.5. It's your bankroll. You can do whatever you want. But I keep telling people, we use this phrase all the time here on the Road to Millions. The best way to make money is to not lose it. I don't play these big percentages, and it's not because of the winning days. It is specifically for the losing days. When you build your bankroll up slow, if you can avoid those monster hits on losing streaks, because everybody's going to have a losing streak. I'm going to have losing streaks. You're going to have losing streaks. Everyone has losing streaks. The key is to not really, really cripple your bankroll. Over time, we know that we're going to hit more plays than we're going to lose. So when we're losing plays, we need to make sure that we don't have that insane, crazy loss. I've done the math a million times. How if let's just say you have $1,000 bankroll and you hit like 10% and 10% and 10%, and all of a sudden you're up to like 1350, and then you have a really bad day and you lose like 20% of your bankroll, you're down to less than when you started. So not putting a bunch of your bankroll into play in any one day, in any one play, is what works for our strategy. And this is what we preach to all of our all access clients. Like when someone reaches out and they're like, oh my God, your plays were terrible, I got smoked today. That means you're not being responsible with the units. That means you're putting way too many plays in play, or that means you're putting way too many units in play. So Saturday, we lost 2 5% plays. We hit a 2% and we hit a 1%. So if we're just using those units on the wager talk units, that's like a -8 unit day. If we're using these, it's like a -4, -5 unit day. And I know, I take them very, very seriously. I take all the plays really seriously, not necessarily because of my bankroll, but because I know other people following it. But if you find yourself in the situation that you are in a complete panic because a few plays lost, you're putting too much money onto it. Or if you have a day where you lost 30 units, you probably have too many plays going on. So I just really, really want to reiterate, guys, that this is what I do for the bankroll, and this is what our all-access plays are designed to do. Like, we didn't have a great Saturday, and I think we lost a couple plays on Friday, so we knew we're not in a good stretch, so let's take Sunday off. No plays on Sunday. Let's get fresh and get it out of our minds. I will also say that we have a 5% play that is pending. That is the darts play and the soccer parlay. That is probably going to hit. I believe it's -10,000 now. We also are going to close out a couple of futures for the NBA series. So we have a 5% play, a 3% play, and a 3% play. They're going to close out soon. I think we can close out one of the 3% plays tonight if Denver wins. But my guess is we're just barely going to miss April. So those units are going to go probably onto May's record. So May, we're already going to start off with a really good one. But this is my recommendation of units. This is what I do with my bankroll right now. And now let's talk about some other things that may change. Well, the flat betting is one of them. So I think we kind of covered the miserable Saturday. We can segue into the change in UFC betting strategy. Okay, so I went back and looked. We have a weakness in some of our in our record, and the weakness is moneyline parlays in the UFC. It's not moneyline parlays where UFC is one part. It's not moneyline parlays in the PFL. It's when we have a play that is 2 money line bets in the UFC. Those have been our Achilles heel. So you're probably not going to see any more of those. When we do a money line parlay that is like one UFC play and a Formula One play, fine. When we do money line parlays in the PFL, fine. We're going to move away from the UFC strategy. I talked to Jim for a while, and I talked about this before the year, and I'm kind of kicking myself. I haven't done more with it. The totals seems to be a real hole in the market. And when I look at what my plays are and what Corbin plays are and what Dan does in lacrosse, one of the common themes that we have is they're plays that are off of everyone's radar, and they're not what everyone else is doing. And I don't see a lot of people playing totals. And we've had success with those. So we're going to be focusing more on totals in our UFC betting. Nothing's going to change in the PFL. In fact, we're going to keep adding plays in the PFL. The volume needs to be increased in the PFL because there's like 7 or 8 plays every card that we like. And if you just happen to pick one or two that lose, you're kicking yourself when you left off 5 or 6 winners. So the volume on PFL is going to go up. Nothing's going to change there except for the volume. But UFC, we're going to be playing some different ones. There's going to be a lot more cross-sport parlays, and there's going to be probably no more just money line parlays. It just feels like with UFC, with the judging that is bonkers, it's really tough to pick 2 winners to parlay them together to get a winner. So we're going to be changing that in the UFC strategy. It kind of really hit home when somebody left a comment on our UFC video saying, you guys are like the only ones that focus on the over-unders. And I was like, aha. If nobody else is really focusing on that, that means the lines are not as sharp. That means we have an advantage there, and it totally fits our style. So we're going to be focusing more on that. Flat betting. I'm becoming more and more intrigued by this, and I got to be honest, I've tried it out myself for about a month, and I really like it. I really, really do. It's just betting the same amount regardless of the percentage of the play. It sounds weird because you're like, why would you bet the same amount on a 1% play as you would a 5% play? And I'm kind of struggling with this one to try and explain it. But one thing flat betting does is it takes away a lot of the stress. Like when you have a really tiny play compared to like a really big play at a 5%, it just kind of levels the playing field. You're not that worried about one individual play. If I'm being honest, it's tough because I'm not really sure how to put plays into wager talk because people love seeing 5% plays and 4% plays. But you guys have been following us enough. No, we do a lot of damage on the 2% plays. So if you want and you are interested in just trying the flat betting and you're an all access client, I would try it for a month. Try it for a month and just maybe play everything at 2% and see how it works. If you're just buying individual plays, I would just follow the percentages and follow your own percentages and what your own bankroll is. But for everyone that has like the year-long passes, I would recommend trying it and just see what you think because I've liked it. I believe Neil said something in a comment about this where he's like, you would be up a few more units if you just did flat betting. But what's hard is in this industry, only putting out 3% plays. Every single play at Wager Talk is a 3% play. It would just look I don't know. It would look a little weird, and it's kind of hard to get people super excited about playing the same percentage every day. But like our job at the end of the day is to make the most money for people, and then make it less stressful and avoid the huge losing streaks. So it's a topic that I actually, you know who I need to bring in? I need to bring in Adam Trigger and talk about this because he does flat betting and he loves it. So I've been trying it myself and I've liked it. Some days maybe you cost yourself some units because you're like, oh, I should have hit that play a little bit harder. But for the most part, I don't know. I've liked it. So, all right, that is going to do it. That's going to do it for us. We'll rebound from the miserable Saturday. Again, it's my recommendation here on units. I try and follow this as close as I can. Do whatever works best for you. But I just this is what I recommend for people that are following all of our all access plays. So, okay. Aaron Wiggins is the free play. We've got our Major League Baseball pack. Go grab that at wagertalk.com and please hit the like button. Leave me a comment. Tell us what you think. Actually, tell me what you think about flat betting. Tell me if you do it or not. If you do, I'd love to hear what your experience is with it, and if you got any numbers or anything to track it with. So, all right, guys. Hopefully, I will be back tomorrow for Road to Millions. Good luck. Let's have a great Monday, and we'll see everyone later.